and welcome back to the Games of Berkeley 2023 New Year's Classic presented by Innova Champion Discs. I'm Gelbart.
Joined as always by his co-commentator, Cody Kirkland. That's me. We are here today following the MPO lead card coverage for the back nine of the final round of the New Year's Classic.
We got some good play in the front nine, some made putts, some a hot streak from our leader Andrew Miranda coming up, and we're moving into the back nine now. This is the final round. This is all the marbles. This is where everything comes down. So we'll see how this action plays out.
Yeah, Andrew created some separation there with a real hot streak of birdies in that front nine. Creating some separation between him and the rest of the field, putting him in a pretty comfortable spot. See if he can close this tournament out well. One
thing to note that we don't see is that we do actually have some guys on the second card coming in who are playing pretty hot rounds. We'll see if that plays out at all. Moving into hole 10 though, we have a par 3, a little longer than 276, closer to maybe 330. That left side is wide open, so a lot of people are going to opt for the forehand, but there is some OB down by the right and a hill that slopes into it.
This forehand's all about judging the skip. If you land on the cart path, you'll probably skip OB. And if you get a dead skip left of the cart path, you'll have a deathy putt.
Brady keeping it a little high, but it looks like it maybe sat. We'll have to see where he ends up.
Yeah, so here's the 2 wide play. We'll see if he can get a good skip. And he just gets kind of a pretty light skip. So he'll probably be 60, 70 feet with a very scary looking putt.
Honestly, that was a solid skip given these conditions. As we mentioned it before, it was very wet, poured last night. We have a blue sky now and it's really beautiful, but this grass is wet and it's thick and the discs are not going to be moving a whole lot if you land on certain spots.
There's Andrew going for the high turnover backhand. I would say that's the lowest risk shot because you can start it so wide and you're not going to skip OB on the right like you could with a forehand, but also you can leave it out there and be in no position for birdie as well.
Yeah.
As Andrew's done.
Evan getting a little tight with the tree. Oh, and it sits just that tree is a good place to aim. If you hit that tree, you're probably not going to go all the way to OB. But obviously the play is to leave it a little bit wider and have it check up on that grass.
Yeah, you can get a good sense of how scary this putt is. You see the basket a little elevated and then just nothing behind it, straight down to the OB.
Yeah, as a player, when you're looking at that, it makes it a little bit scary to run that putt.
Yeah, Trent and Andrew both opting out, which I respect. So they'll both be tapping in their pars. And here's Brady from below. I believe this is for birdie.
Looks like he stayed in a good spot.
Oh, just wide right. If you could pick anywhere on the hole, though, you would choose to be below it there on the right. That way you can run that putt aggressively without fear of any retribution from the course. And there's Evan chaining out just a little high there, catching some chains just to taunt him, but not finding the bottom.
Yeah, and we've seen those putting struggles in the for the front nine, and we're seeing them continue a little bit. It's just tough, as we've talked about. Once you kind of can't find that rhythm, you're just a little outside of circle 2. It just starts. Each putt feels a little bit farther, and the basket feels a little bit smaller than they are. And Evan and Trent with the synchronized tap in.
Battle putt. You love to see it. Moving into hole 11, 286 feet. This is extremely elevated, and this is where we are on the top of the course. So there is wind is going to be at its maximum. I think today wasn't too bad, so they probably won't have too much, but this is where it is windiest on the course.
Yeah, this tap-in cannot feel like a tap-in when you're going 3-4 feet uphill.
Yeah, the options are this big spike hyzer that Brady's going with. We'll see if he can judge the width correctly. Looks like he does perfectly.
Great shot from Brady.
Above the basket is also the best spot to be because you're no longer putting so directly up as you would be from the path on the right. The path is safe, and the other line is to go kind of straight right at it with a straight mid-range.
Not much OB to speak of here, but that bathroom, if you do end up inside it, is OB. Usually that door is closed, though. Trent with the other line, which is straight through the gap, and he'll find himself really close to the basket, but he will have a tricky uphill putt.
Andrew also going up the middle, pushes it a little wide, but has good stability. Well done. It's going to be a tester from about 25 feet up that hill.
Yeah, these putts don't really feel like testers if the basket's on the ground, but it is really, really high. And as you can see, there's that hill next to it. So this one can feel a little daunting when you step up to what might be an easier putt on other baskets. Good shot from Evan there using the electrical box.
Yeah, smart play there, going for the ace in the electrical box. It's always going to leave you close to the basket.
If we were playing object golf, that'd be a good one. Andrew with a great putt. Strike right into the center of the chains. You have to be confident with this putt if you want to make it. And Andrew shows us he's still feeling it.
He's got such a confident spin putt, just like a real laser putt on pretty much all of those.
Yeah, and you can see Evan going almost straight uphill as he cashes in that birdie.
You can see how high it's elevated. Evan is a normal-sized human, and it is well above his head.
Brady, slightly bigger human. He could actually reach in the basket.
If you checked out prior year coverage for the Oakland City Championships last year, one of our players had to spit out from maybe 5 feet on this basket just because it's so far uphill.
Yeah.
Moving into hole 12, it is 450 feet. This green very much in play as an out of bounds. Takes about 420 feet to clear that. And then there's OB on the right as well staked. This is also a hole that has usually deceptive headwind. Like it feels like there's no wind, but you throw the disc and it tends to flip a little more than you expect. So really hard to attack this one for birdie.
Yeah, the 450 feet seems more gettable for the MPO cards, but getting out of this gap and making sure you have the angle right can be really tricky. So this one plays pretty tough.
Yeah, Brady pops it up a little bit, but gets it over the green perfectly. He's in circle one, putting for birdie.
That is the one of the best shots you're going to see on this hole. And worth noting that there's no OB behind, just on the right side that we were talking about, and then very far on the left, as well as that green that kind of is at a little sneaky distance. Oh, looks like I was wrong again, as Trent throws an even nicer shot than Brady, with a really nice angle coming in on a little bit of hyzer and getting that skip towards the green.
Even with those two excellent shots, they're still going to be challenged to make the putt with the elevated basket.
Yeah, this one's pretty high up there.
Andrew flips up that backhand, is leaking a little right, but stays inbounds there. He's probably about 10 or 15 feet from the out of bounds. Going to have a 50, 60 footer there. We'll see if he wants to run it. Evan with a low one, going right at the green. Oh, he's playing short of the green. Smart layup play from Evan there. Knows he doesn't want to attack it for birdie and doesn't want to try to challenge that green if it's not going to earn him anything.
Yeah, Evan's upshot game has typically been really strong, and so I've seen him play that. He'll play the smart play a lot of the time and just take his safe par. Although that upshot gets a little bit away from him and kind of takes a rough skip off that downhill.
Yeah, hole 12 actually played as the hardest hole on the course for the day, playing at .41 over par. And a lot of that's the distance, but a lot of it is also this precarious basket. Like Evan's shot, if that were flat ground, would have been probably 15 feet from the basket, but instead he's left with closer to 25 or 30.
Yeah, and as Cody mentioned on the previous hole, we're still up at the top of the hill here, and so this is really where you're going to feel the wind the most. And although it's down today, with this elevated basket, this putt can be a little bit tricky.
Brady with a good look for birdie and leaves it short. That high to low putt he's got that has the nose down and drops, I think it's much harder to judge the height on that properly on these elevated baskets.
And Trent makes the only birdie on the entire day. Again, this hole playing as the hardest on the course. That is a bonus birdie for sure. This one is not only hard to birdie, but the numbers can add up quick with that. There's a lot of danger in this elevated basket. You might see some 3 putts out here.
Yeah, it feels like you could run it when you're in circle 2 on this hole, but you end up always at this kind of tester distance of 15 or 20 putting up into this elevated basket, and based on the score averages, it seems like we end up with a lot more bogeys from those than birdies.
Yeah. And one note about this hole that is not quite disc golf related, but when you're up here, you have this incredible view of the bay. This property is something exceptional, and we love playing out here. It's so nice to get some disc golf on the golf courses and vice versa. We're looking for that dual use out of this course, and we really get it with this tournament.
Hole 13, 426 feet. This is going to play downhill over this big valley. It's really just going to be a pushing hyzer, trying to judge the width correctly. This is a very steep slope on the green. Pretty much any missed putt has the risk of rolling away. See if these guys can stick it up on the hill. A little early. Yeah, a little early from Trent. Probably have like 35 feet putting along the side of that hill.
Such a scary putt, though, because if you don't have an easy stance and you're coming down towards that hill, like you can either roll, you can just fly down the hill. Brady putting himself to the bottom of the hill, which isn't a terrible spot to be. But again, if you hit cage or you hit metal and you don't go in the hole, you can find yourself even further than you started.
Oh, Andrew's line looks really good here. This should be parked if it digs nicely.
Oh my God, he almost aced it. That was close. What a great shot from Andrew. He is really feeling it, and he's just pulling away on these holes.
Yeah, I mean, Trent's 3 back at this point and looking at a 35-footer, and Andrew steps up and puts it under the basket. That's got to put a lot of pressure on him.
And Evan just gets this little turned over. There is some OB on the right. We'll see if he finds it. Skipped off the fence.
It kind of looked like you got into the OB there, but we'll have to see when they get down there.
Yeah.
This is a tricky one. Again, as Gavi mentioned on the previous hole, wind up on top of the hill, and a lot of times you can't feel the wind on the tee as much as there is down by the basket.
Yeah, once Evan got that turned over, it looks like he did go OB. Once he got that turned over, it just kind of held. Great upshot from where he was. He should find a chance for a bogey putt.
Yeah, it's all about finding the right angle, hitting this hill on these approach shots and on these putts. Landing with the wrong angle is going to have you drifting. Notice Brady there trying to get it on flat by the basket. That way it's not going to roll away, and does a really good job of that.
Yeah, good ankle control on that putt. And Trent making a great putt from that is a scary putt to run. Again, we've been talking about this steepness of this hill. It really sends you down. You can also see Evan slipping. The footing is really tough. Mentioned this a few times already, but this hill is really where you see kind of the worst footing on the entire course, just because you can't get your footing down. You have to take a tough stance on a tough putt, and it's hard to get yourself set. As Andrew maybe with a little bit of a violation there, potentially using someone else's disc, but we're just going to let that one slide.
Yeah, really clutch putt by Trent there to kind of keep himself in this. He's only 3 strokes back, still 5 holes to play. We'll see if he can close that gap.
Moving on to hole 14, one of the shorter holes on this entire course, on the Bay course. We've got only about 250 feet, but everything along that path is OB. And this hole is an extremely precarious one. One of the shorter holes on the course, but one of the harder holes on the course.
You're basically on an island from when you tee to when you finish the hole, with OB on all sides.
You might see this flick come in, a little bit softer on the ground usually, but we'll see where that one ends up. And the other play that you're about to see Andrew throw is that little turnover straight backhand, which you need to be really gentle with. It looks like he maybe gets caught up in a tree.
That tree eats so many discs. It's right in the middle of the fairway, and you really want to drift just right of it, but if you go well right of it, you'll usually go OB right. So it's a common miss.
Oh, and Brady trying to find the about, and he does. He finds the inbounds. Wow.
Incredible. What a finish.
Our 2 Jeffs, one of the tournament directors right there, Jeff Goss. Appreciate all his hard work, him and Scott Riley on this tournament, as well as all the volunteers who were out here in force. Some of them spotting, some of them setting up baskets. As Evan, you see, just leaks a little bit right, and he's out of bounds. It's just so easy to find that out of bounds with the way this hill is shaped.
Yeah, you really have to flex that forehand to get it to land softly and stay near the basket, but getting too much anhyzer on you, let's go OB left. So it's one of the more demanding shots on the course. Good up there by Andrew.
And it looks like, it's hard to tell, but Trent might have found that OB. Oh my God, and he gives it a great bid, high chains from that position. But he won't be able to collect the save there.
Here's Brady, very scary 40-footer, and he's going to cash it.
Makes it. Wow, what a putt. And again, we're seeing him putt towards where Trent just was and towards where Evan is. If that airballs, he might be gone out of bounds. If that hits metal and rolls, he might be gone out of bounds. So what a confident stroke from Brady.
Here's Evan for par. Oh.
Just off.
Solid looking putt there, but just hasn't found the bottom of the basket, and it's tough when the putts keep doing that. It's tough to keep giving confident strokes when you're not getting the same feedback from the basket and from your putt.
And hole 14, an interesting note about this, the hardest 3 holes are all 450 feet or further, except hole 14, which is the 4th hardest hole, played at 0.04 over par, and was only 250 feet. So it really gives you an idea of how tricky that hole can be.
Looks like Trent did stay in bounds there, so that was for birdie. So he will stay 3 back, but he's running out of holes quickly as we move on to hole 15. This is 330 feet. No real OB, The tricky part here is the low ceiling and the slope by the basket. So you can either go a forehand, swing it out wide and try to skip in, or you can go a backhand right at it with maybe a mid-range or a fairway driver.
This one kind of is similar to hole 7, the hole just before the goat hole, if you saw that front 9, in that you really have to control the angle of the disc going a little bit uphill. And so there's a low ceiling, and there's also this kind of uphill hill that eats your discs up. Again, the grass being really wet and very thick, so it's hard to get much of a skip.
Common miss there by Brady is to leave it a little wide left on the forehand, just because, as Gavi mentioned, that hill comes in so quick. Trent, similar shot, again, just a little left and a little wide, and you don't get much of a skip up that hill. This is a surprisingly tricky hole for what feels like should be very birdieable.
Yeah, totally. The distance and the line aren't particularly challenging, but one thing to note is you can see how kind of beat in that tee pad is. It just got a ton of use over the weekend, and this is our third and final round. You also see that kind of golf tee in the middle of it, so you don't really know where to step. It honestly felt like there wasn't too much of a slip, but it's hard to trust it when it's all mud next to you, as Andrew finds his footing and throws a beautiful shot just pretty close to the basket. We'll see what he has, but he should have a birdie look.
Evan leaves it a little low there on his backhand attempt. Got the line just right, but a little low, so he'll probably be edge of circle 2 at best. Big
putt for Brady here. Gives it a good bid.
Full runs and is kind of fortunate to find that tree behind the basket.
Yeah, that's what you like to see from any player, is that confident stroke to run it. But also it's this one you can see slopes away as well, so it can be a little bit tricky. Evan tries to find the basket with a little throw, just short. He's been so close all day.
You can see the ride grin. He knows it's not been his day. Just been a little off all day.
Brady for par, connects, and he'll stay kind of in the race.
And we still haven't seen Andrew, which has got to be a good sign for his drive.
Yeah, seriously. Trent connects on the par.
Oh, and there's Andrew's drive, all of 5 feet.
Wow. Andrew with the sole birdie, and he takes it to 4 strokes with just 3 to play.
And I think at this point, pretty solidly in hand for him.
Yeah,
just walk this one home.
Hole 16, par 3, 263 feet. The distance is not tricky. There is a little bit of a sketchy line off the tee, but what's really tricky is this amazing green. It's up kind of on some rocks, and an easy shot will get you to about 35 feet with a death putt behind.
This spike hazard that Andrew's throwing has only been opened up as of this most recent storm. One of the branches on this tree fell down, really opening up this line that was not available before. Looks like he pushed it a little too far left. He'll have an uphill, probably circle 2 look at it.
Brady going with the flick play, just getting a little bit turned over, but he does swing and stay pretty close. I think he'll have a good look for birdie there.
That was a great skip. I think he's got to be in circle 1. It's part of the trickiness of this straight gap is that the ceiling is low, but if you throw it a little too low, you'll hit into the upslope of that before the green. There's an elevated area that can be tough to get any skips off of. Good shot there by Trent. Skips up there, probably around circle 1 as well.
You'll see, as you can see, it looked like Trent threw a good shot, but that basket is pushed pretty far back, so we'll see what he has. Evan getting up on top of that rock formation, he might have a pretty good look for birdie. See if he can connect on one for today.
Here's Andrew, probably from 50 or 60 feet, and he's not going to give that a full aggressive run. As you can see, it kind of drops off on all sides around the basket, so being aggressive, you have to be committed and know you're going to at least draw a medal.
Yeah, tough footing here for Trent. Let's see what he can do. Oh, it just gives it a good bid, good height. But as you can see, gets that roll, gets that extra air time, and he goes a little bit further away from the basket.
Just wide there from Evan as well. Catches the right side of the chains.
Curls up. We'll see what he has for a comebacker. And Trent's already going. So Brady in a pretty good spot, it seems.
Great putt by Trent.
It's a really solid comebacker after missing the first one and squeaking a little away. He's been getting the height pretty close all day today, and Evan as well hits a great comeback putt to save the par. Good pars from those guys.
Yeah, if this weren't 16, I'd say that'd be a big confidence builder for Evan, but fortunately running out of holes to use that confidence on. Great birdie by Brady there.
Sneaks in over the rim. Exactly what you want is just to get it up high enough to get in. Brady takes the sole birdie on 16. And you can see Brady has now tied Trent behind Andrew. So we'll see how that plays out in the next couple holes.
A quick note on hole 17 and hole 18 here on this course. They are the 2 holes that make up a par 6 on the ball golf course down this giant hill. Really a beautiful spot. So we have 2 gorgeous downhill holes here for 17 and 18. This is 600 feet par 4, OB on the left along the fence line. This one is a pretty gettable par 4. Really any drive that gets 400 feet of distance and stays in bounds is going to be in position to take a birdie.
This one feels like a must get, but there was a little bit of wind, and that headwind can just make that one of those shots a little tricky. If you go backhand, not sure about the angle, you can leak out left, which is OB. You've got a bunch of OB on that left side.
Yeah, both Brady and Andrew opting away from the distance backhand shot. Brady going with the forehand, coming up a little early right. Andrew throwing a roller into a good spot. He'll probably be 200 feet or so to the pin with a fairly wide open shot.
The roller has been a pretty popular play from what I was seeing on this day, on this hole, in that the backhand roller will cut up to the right, and so it's pretty safe. Trent, you see, goes with the backhand. Will it get down? It's going to be close.
And this is the risk with that backhand. You're trying to throw downhill, but if you pop it up a little bit, especially with that headwind, it's easy to drift over that fence, as Trent has done there.
Does find the OB, and that backhand roller is a little bit safer because it gets to the ground. There is a fence there, and so players aren't going to find the OB if they roll over to it.
Yeah, I would say downhill headwind is one of the tougher times to throw a distance shot backhand, because if you go flippy, it'll burn over, but if you go stable and you get it too high, you'll probably drift left of the fence.
Yeah, and that's what you saw from both Evan and Trent, is they found the opposite sides of the right angle, and just not quite the ideal shot, but even so, Evan's still having a doable up and down, puts it a little short. We'll see what he has, maybe something from circle 2 to save his birdie.
Yeah, and here's Trent. Not a very comfortable shot, as you only get a meter off this fence, so he's going to have to do a compacted swing here. We'll see if he can still get it there up this hill.
That's a great point about the compact swing. It is really hard to get this power all the way up this hill with such a short swing. So you're going to see players end up short a lot, sometimes come out early and leak left. That's such a tough spot, and it kind of adds insult to injury after you go OB. Brady hitting the basket with his approach, and he'll end up right next to it. He's really turning it on the last few holes.
And he's got to be grinning, because that was probably going to be at least 20, 25 feet long, assuming it didn't skip and roll there. So basket was his friend on that approach shot.
Gotta love the basket. Except when it's on a hill. It makes you roll away.
Andrew in a great spot after the roller, pitching up a forehand, hits that tree and is next to the basket. Really well done by him.
And he's just seemed so confident all weekend, so picking the right play every single time. Really, really impressive for someone, I mean, not just his age, but just in general as a player. Really impressive the way he's been playing.
Oh, Trent throws that up shot a little too high, catches some limbs, and gets an extremely unfortunate roll all the way down this hill. This hole is going from bad to worse for Trent.
Man. Just a tough day for him. He's been so close on so many putts. A couple of chain outs, a couple off the top.
And still was in position to play for second here until this trouble here on this hole.
Yeah.
Good shot by Evan there.
I believe he's throwing that zone. I'm not exactly sure, but I know he's been throwing a red zone for a while, and he does some great work with that thing. Coming up to 18 now, as you see these guys tap out, there's usually a several card backup just because of the nature of the hole. It is a 1,260-foot hole that we're going to see in a second, but you can kind of expect to wait. As Trent with a great putt, despite the really tough hole, to minimize the damage.
Yeah, double bogey there for Trent. It's going to bump him out of second place. Good birdie by Andrew and Brady. Hole 18 is a 1,230-foot par 5, extremely downhill with OB wide right and OB wide left, framing the entire fairway. this is an interesting hole because if you throw the right drive, you can throw it 900 feet all the way to the bottom of the hill and be in position for a not too challenging eagle. But you can also, if you get the angle wrong, get it a little too high, you can go OB and make the birdie much tougher, make yourself playing for par at that point.
It's such an incredibly fun hole, and you really just have to be there and play it yourself. Really recommend anyone who's in the area to come out and try out this tournament. It's a blast.
Probably my favorite hole in disc golf that I've played.
And Brady really committing to the hyzer, and you can see it just ride down there. Let's see what happens.
Pushing left side. Let's see what it does here.
Oh my gosh, that was a huge drive, bottom of the hill, and he actually told me about this hole. He said he was noticing the cards as we see Andrew throw. We'll see what happens to his. He said he was noticing the cards, and he noticed the chase card catching up, and so he said he has to get an eagle here. And so he was playing really aggressive on that shot. As Andrew maybe finds that tree inbounds, we'll see. Evan just a little bit too low.
Yeah, still going to be in a good position here. It looks like, couldn't quite tell where he finished. This hole is obviously very challenging to film just due to the breadth of where the drives can go. You could have a drive go 900 feet, you could have a drive go 300 feet, right? So trying to capture all those shots is quite challenging. Trent throwing a pure hyzer here, but he's kept it pretty low, so it should be okay. That's really in a great spot for birdie. It's going to be tough to play for eagle, but he's in a really good spot for birdie there.
Yeah, another note on this hole is that especially today after the weekend of rain and after the week of rain, the fairways were actually extremely muddy and very hard to find any footing on. And so usually you're going to be running downhill on your second or third shot. And so to find your footing on a hill like this and still get that distance can be really challenging. As Evan maybe throws a roller here.
I think it was a thrower. That's my bet.
More of a thrower. Let's see where he ends up. Looks like he got some good distance all the way down to the bottom of the hill. And Trent with his second shot going across the valley, he's probably still about 600 feet out with a little bit of a downhill, and he
gets it onto that upslope. Well done.
Makes it count. That's a great shot from Trent.
Yeah, he's going to be 180 feet to the basket to get up and down for birdie.
And actually a really tough spot for Andrew, getting that tree and getting under it, but wow.
Well done.
That's a great shot, even closer than Trent. And he got enough distance off his tee shot. That tree is pretty far down that he was able to make it count. And one note about this tournament, it is sponsored by Innova, and Innova does not like the 2-meter rule. So we are not playing with the 2-meter rule, which,
relatable Innova.
My personal opinions aside, is pretty nice to not worry about that OB for Andrew. And Brady did tell me that he did get OB on this one. So takes a huge swing, gets it all the way up the hill. Honestly, the distance in two, he's 20 feet short of the basket, but he is a little wide. So we'll see what he has for his birdie putt.
Here's Evan from one of the wettest slides you can have in the absolute sloshing it of mud over there.
It was essentially a river going at this point. Got up to the top of the hill, though. He should have something pretty easy for his par.
And well done there by Trent.
Trent almost throwing it in. That was a great shot.
With the slickness on these hills, it's very tough to get a committed shot up there. Very well done by Trent and by Andrew here.
Yeah, Andrew playing it close. He'll tapping out his birdie. And just really amazing play by him all weekend.
Yeah, super solid off the tee, controlled his heights very well, never really got into too much trouble from what we could see, and was able to capitalize on the putting green.
And you can tell he's excited. Well-deserved victory for Andrew.
Here's Brady for a birdie with an OB stroke. We'll see if he can capitalize here, probably from 50-ish feet.
Just leaves it a little short. And with that par, Brady just misses out on a tie for second place at 16 under. All he needed was birdie there to stay tied for second, but a little unfortunate for him as we see these guys tap out their shots. Cody Kirkland, my fellow commentator, shooting the hot round in that round, 10 down, and taking a tie for second place. Well done.
Yeah, I played with Thomas Tomaselli, who also tied for second, and he shot a 9 down, so we were feeding off each other well. Congratulations to Andrew here. Seriously, an incredible tournament. Well done by him.
Yeah, really, really consistent play from him. Really proud to see that. Good job, Andrew.
Thanks again to our sponsors. Thanks to our tournament directors. Thanks to all the volunteers that made this happen. Thanks to Lake Chabot Golf Course for allowing us onto this amazing property, and getting a chance to throw discs out there is truly a pleasure.